one of the questions that we have to ask is, what effect does this have on the character of the person that commits the torture? So there are a lot of psychological studies that say it takes a terrible toll on a person. I'm thinking of one example, granted not a study, but an example that I read about a sniper in Bosnia. Basically, his mother had been jailed and beaten by people on the other side of the conflict, right? And she was released, but this led him to get involved militarily in the conflict, and he became a sniper, right? And eventually he got to the point where, to be able to cope with being able to kill people, he deadened his emotions to the point where he couldn't have a real relationship with his mother. Right? And of course, right, so what we have to think about here is the person and how it will damage them, and of course, indirectly, family, friends, etc. Right? On top of that, right, we shouldn't just say, well, that's something that happens to the person who actually has to commit it. Right? We have to the question, what does it do to us as people when we condone it? Right? And that's particularly we have to ask, what does it do to our characters when we get the habit of condoning things because they're out of sight? Right? Basically saying, condoning it, but refusing to look at what's actually being done, which is to say, to put as much of the weight of the consequences we can, right, the consequences of doing it, onto the person who actually has to commit the deed. So that's one of the things that we arguably need to think about, not only what happens to the person who's tortured, but to the torturer as well, and indirectly to ourselves, right, for condoning it.